Hi, this is Shirley Kufeld. I've never been to heaven, and I speculate that you haven't been either. But I did have a flash, a vision, an imagination of heaven, and that's what I'd like to share with you. My cousin Chuck died in January. He lived in northern Michigan, and after 2 feet of snow and he cleared the driveway with the snow blower, he came back in the house and told his wife, "That was the worst snow I've ever had to clear." She went into the kitchen, and a little while later she heard a noise. She called him twice, "Chuck, Chuck," but there was no response, and she went out and she found that he had died of a massive heart attack. Now another question for you. Have you ever run a marathon? I haven't, but my daughter has. And when she would run the marathon, we would buy 4-foot just stakes, and then with some orange neon posters, and we'd write on there, "You go, girl," so that when she ran past a viewing point, we could hold up our sign saying, "You go, girl," and we were encouraging our daughter as she went past. Chuck was one of the friendliest guys that you'd ever want to meet. He was always smiling, always laughing, and he was just friend with everyone, but he was in considerable pain his entire life. His joints were always giving him pain, and his spine was misaligned with everything. And towards the end, he had to use a walker. He was in considerable pain, and his wife did mention that it was a blessing that he had passed because he had been in so much pain. Chuck did finish his own marathon. He ran the race that God had for him. And can you imagine Chuck at the end of his marathon? People are there before the finish line, and they're holding their sign saying, "You go, Chuck." And then he crosses the finish line. And then he's seeing more people. His parents are there. His grandparents are there. And it's just amazing. He's recognizing all of these people who have passed on ahead of him. And as he continues to run, he's noticing that the crowds are getting deeper. There's more and more people, but it's also getting higher and higher and higher. And it's like he's running into an Olympic stadium because it's so huge. There's so many people all up around. And he can hear voices. He can hear an amazing choir, and he can hear individual voices. He can recognize individual people who are singing harmony. And it's just wonderful, and he is amazed. But Chuck has no more crutches, no more walker. His body is now perfectly aligned, and he has the stride of an Olympian. It is just amazing. So Chuck is now running past millions and millions of people. Can you imagine that stadium, that mountain range? It's more like a mountain range because there's so many millions of people. But Chuck is going closer and closer. And now that he's passed his finish line, he's seeing that people are holding up signs. But they're not signs saying, "You go, Chuck." These are signs holding the individual verses, the reference that led them to a relationship with Christ. And Chuck's verse is Jeremiah 17:7. "Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and who has made the Lord his hope and confidence." So Chuck is running to the center in that big area, and he's seen the brightest light that he's ever seen. There is no fear. He knows who's there. It's Jesus Christ himself. And Chuck bows down in humble obedience. And Christ greets him and says, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." And now Chuck is hearing a new song. Everyone together on the hillside singing hallelujah. Praise God. So my vision is founded on my relationship with Jesus Christ. And I now believe that Chuck is in eternity with Christ, free from pain, because of his relationship with Jesus Christ. This is Shirley Kufeld with Bible Bites.